Good job. You're here. Good morning, Lee.
Morning. Your link worked very well.
Good. Glad to hear it. Even with the password.
Oops.
Yeah,
Good morning, Dennis.
I know, they're really pretty.
Hi, Judy.
Yeah, they are. When you measured it out,
I don't
let's
know how to
see.
make it any louder.
You know, I forgot to say anything about the brick.
Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning,
How are you
Carissa.
doing?
What's that?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good. You're always doing great. Oh,
What a colorful studio you have.
yeah, I know. It's very pink, right?
Yeah,
Well,
lively.
Yeah.
lively is good.
Yeah.
See, on the iPhone, I can't get all of the people on at the same time. I don't know how to do anything that I can. Sorry.
So is everyone having a good week so far?
Yes.
It's hard not to with these beautiful days.
Oh, I know. It's gorgeous out this
Oh,
morning. It's
Oh,
gonna
it
be
is. It's
warm.
perfect.
Yeah, and yesterday
Time
was
of
nice.
year.
Yeah, really nice.
Everything's blooming.
I know. It's a great time to be painting flowers, right?
Yes.
It looks like Pam's on. I'm going to start taking attendance here.
Oh, Sarah.
Hi, Donna.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
All right.
Good.
Oh,
Everyone has their coffee and their pastries and their. I know we're still waking up here, right?
Yeah, but it's so much easier than driving down there.
That's true. There are certain advantages
Yes.
to doing this from home, for sure.
Man.
We get to have our furry friends with us and
Mhm.
all our comforts. Oh, good. Here comes Simi and Alan. Hi, Pam. Who's that? Oh, that's Patty. Oh,
Patty,
okay.
yeah.
And Pam, have you been to the online class before?
I was on last week's class. I signed up.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good morning, Simi.
Hey, Simi.
Morning. Hi, Donna.
hi, Simi.
How's everybody?
Good. How about you?
Good. Good,
Staying
good.
in?
Yes, as much as we can. Or
Yeah,
should
I
we?
know.
Hi, Ellen.
Hello.
Hi, Molly.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. And Carol. Hi, Carol.
Good morning. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Morning, Carol.
Morning.
girl.
Okay, it's 8:33. We'll give it a couple more minutes and see if anyone else comes on. I'm finding people are more on time for the online classes than when we meet at the Shot Center. Isn't that funny?
Because we can roll right out of bed and come to class.
Exactly.
The commute is
Like
much
deal with
shorter.
the traffic. Hi, Jane.
Hi.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Consuelo, you're.
I know, I'm in my daughter's. I'm sorry. I still haven't figured out.
Do you want me to change your name again?
I'd love to. You did last week,
Yeah.
but
Let
it
me
didn't
see if I
stick.
can remember how to do that.
That'd be, and you could even talk me through it if you'd like.
Yeah, so what I do is I go to manage participants, like in the chat box, your names come up and then I click on you and there's a drop box. I can either mute you or there's a drop box for more and I can rename you.
Great. I'm in Cassie Lancaster right now. That's my daughter. So do I go to more?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Thank you.
You are renamed.
All right, except it's with one L.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. No worries.
Francine.
Hi.
Thank you.
No problem. I love that name. That's so pretty.
Thank you.
Okay, and then, oh, is that Francine? Hi, Francine. Good morning.
Hi, Francine.
And
Hi.
Rita.
My husband's standing in the background, if you can see him.
Good morning, Francine's husband.
Okay. Yeah.
Francine, have you heard from Karen May?
No, I've called her, I've checked, and I've emailed her, and I'm about to go over to her house out in Goleta. I don't know where she is.
Yeah. Does she have a husband?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she's married. She has
Okay.
kids and grandkids. She has somebody in town too, but her husband, it's a second marriage, but yeah, they've been together for a long time. So
Okay. So
She
she
might
has
need-
someone looking after her.
Oh.
yeah, I hope so. She's been at Ridley Tree, so back and forth because she's she had a recurrence of cancer, and she was on a drug that was really helping her, but I haven't heard from her. So
Oh no.
all I know.
Okay. Well, we're thinking of her,
Mm.
hoping she's good. Okay. So yeah, I'll just talk a little bit about a couple of. First, I'm going to mute you guys since we've all kind of greeted and said hello. I'm going to mute everyone to get rid of the background noise. And just feel free to unmute yourselves at any time if you want to have a question or make a comment. So the catalog came out for the summer schedule in the mail, and it might be a little deceiving because it kind of looks like the classes are still online, but I mean at the Schott Center, but the classes will be online this summer. And the Splashing Watercolor is going to meet twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays at 9. You know, it's scheduled from 9 to 12. And in the catalog, the printed catalog, there was an error that has somebody else teaching the second session of Splashing Watercolor, but I will be teaching it, so you know. And I'm thinking that, you know, first of all, I'm personally getting a little bored with repeating my same projects. Like, I know I've introduced a few different painting assignments in the last couple of semesters, but I'm wanting to do more of that. And I'm thinking that this is a good opportunity for that since we're more freed up from being in the classroom. So I'm going to be emphasizing, and since it's summertime and the weather's so nice, there's going to be a little bit more emphasis on landscape, I think, and plein air painting. And I want to get your feedback on this. But I thought it would be a good opportunity. And then also, as the restrictions, the isolation restrictions start to get lifted and we can, I'm imagining that we'll have permission to be together before the end of summer session. I was thinking we could meet on location a few times and paint outside together. I really like going to Alice Keck Park. I like going places where there's benches or picnic tables because it makes it a little easier. As watercolor painters, we don't do we don't use easels like the oil painters. So you kind of have to have a comfortable setup where you can sit. And I've come up with a really great way to do that, which I'll be taking you through this summer to kind of get your setup. But what I have is one of those really low beach chairs that sits close to the ground, and I can sit in that and put my palette right on the ground next to me. And I have my board that sits across the armrests, and it's super easy. It's super comfortable, super easy to paint outside, but it's always nice to have benches. So I'm hoping that appeals to you guys. Does that sound good? I'm getting a thumbs up from.
It sounds great to me.
Good. Yeah, I know a lot of you are good landscape. And, this is such a landscape kind of a place to paint in Santa Barbara. So we'll be honing our landscape skills. It won't be entirely that, but there's going to be an emphasis on that. And also, I'm thinking, since we do meet twice a week in the summer, rather than having a lesson with demos every single time, I think how I'm going to loosely structure it is to do the lesson and the demos on Mondays and then critiques on Wednesdays. So does that sound like a good plan to you guys? Okay, great. All righty. So I'm just going to jot down a few more people who have come in here. Let's see. Okay. Well, it's good to see you all. It's really always so nice to meet here and be with our little tribe. So I have a confession to make, you guys. I didn't do the assignment this week. I tried. I sat down. I had a full sheet of watercolor paper out. I had my photos of the owl and the pussycat that I was going to do. I was going to create that. I had it all in my head what I was going to do. And I sat down to do the drawing, and I actually worked on it for about an hour. And it just wasn't flowing, and I just wasn't feeling it, And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this. It felt really obligatory to other. And what I realized, and I think what's happening for me right now, is during this like spiritual quarantine that I'm in, my ego structure is, really, really dissolving a lot. Like, this has been a long time in progress, but I feel like I'm kind of at the bottom of the ego structure, crumbling away. And that ego structure was really built around pleasing other, painting for other, and I just can't do it anymore, And so I didn't. I put that aside, and instead I went to, I had an old painting under my bed, and I decided to collage on it. And like, for me, the art making process has become a very alchemical one, where the work I do on my painting is kind of an extension of the inner work that's happening for me. And I want to just offer that up to you, because I know this kind of retreat time, this time of isolation, we have time to kind of self-reflect, and we have time to think about what we want to let go of and what we want to become, and what we want to bring in that's going to replace what's being let go of. There's things falling away from my life. I'm letting go of the Mesa Artist Studio tour. I decided I couldn't plan for that this year with all the unknowns. And then when I made that decision to not do it this year, I realized I don't want to do it at all anymore. Again, that was more like doing what I thought I needed to do to kind of please other, or I'm just done with that. I am living for my soul now. And so and then I got a call from my gallery in Lahaina over on Maui, and like there's no more marketplace at all on the Hawaiian Islands. Everyone is gone, and like they totally rely on the tourists, and that's not happening. So she's kind of closing down, and she's going to be mailing me back these huge watercolor paintings, and I'm going to do more to those what I did this week in terms of the alchemical process. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to show you what I did instead of the project, and then I'm going to bring up examples of some old paintings that I did when I lived in Oregon that the project is derived from, to give you that option. And then I'm going to show you a demo video I did of something that's just totally the opposite of the controlled, thought out process of the project. This is just a total fluid, spontaneous kind of watercolor exploration. And I'm going to start offering these more to you every week, because what I want you to do, I want you to have the option of either doing really controlled work or totally open, free, spontaneous work, or anything in between, because we're all in such different places right now with this quarantine, and people have different needs, and there's more of a range of needs I'm finding. So does that sound good? Okay, let me get my screen up here to show you. Okay, and remember, feel free to unmute yourselves if you have any questions or comments, you guys. So the image on the right is the original painting. It's a half an elephant sheet, so it's 30 by 40, which is the equivalent of 2 full watercolor sheets. And it was kind of like one of my people-pleasing paintings that I did for the marketplace. And so that's been sitting under my bed. And I decided to collage on top of it, which is the one on the left. So on the bottom down here, I have a cut up old watercolor from way back in the 80s. This is really old. And then I put this Queen of Spades playing card on some, with some collage paper, and a sweet pea cut up from another watercolor. These little flowers I put on the ends of this plant are cut up from a print of one of my watercolors. And then I put these 3 birds in that are cut up from other watercolors, and then some collage paper down here. So this has more of a personal meaning or significance to me. And it was just really fun. I just really had a good time doing this and breaking out of like making something perfect for somebody else's wall. Now it's perfect for my wall. I get to look at it and think about the meaning in it. Also, I want to point out that, you know, I think part of my impulse for doing this is working at home rather than being in the classroom. And I have my other paintings around me and to work with. And also, this is just such a good time to kind of go through your old work and kind of reassemble it or rework it. So I'm inviting you to do that. If you have incomplete or unfinished or paintings that you're not happy with, start cutting them up and putting them together with other pieces. Watercolor paper works beautifully in collage. Unlike magazines or cheaper paper, it doesn't wrinkle or buckle or anything. It creates a really smooth, really nice bond. And Yes Paste is what I like to use. It's an archival paste and it works really well. I just use my finger. I dip it in the paste and I rub it on the back of what I want to collage on and then, you know, place it down. It works really, really well. So then after I did that one, I put some, let me get the original up here for this one.
Oh, Carissa, I think you made that first one you showed us, just made it come to life.
Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, that's what, you know what?
Incredible.
Thank you. And I think it's true that when we're really more authentic with our work, when we're really doing it to meet our own soul's fulfillment, that comes through in the piece. There's more, that authenticity is more real. And I think that the world wants us to show up in our fullness of who we really are, instead of holding back ourselves that we think, you know, aren't acceptable. So, like I said, this is such an alchemical process. So here's this one is an elephant sheet. So it's 40 by 60. So this is the equivalent of 4 full sheets of watercolor paper. It's really big. The figure is a riff off of Klimt's, one of Klimt's women. And it's kind of, it's called Gates of Paradise. The meaning behind this is the divine marriage of the union of the divine feminine with the divine masculine, which is the peacock. And in some spiritual traditions, the peacock represents the gates of paradise. So this is like the bliss of that union of the divine masculine and feminine. And I decided, I cut up all these red flowers from another watercolor and pasted them into the peacock. And then I painted these parts of her body the bright red. When I did this, you can see the paste got on the outside of the flower and a little bit of the paper got torn off, but I'll just go in and touch that up with a little bit of watercolor. But again, it's more, to me, it's more alive. Like, away with the perfection and in with the authenticity. Okay.
Oh, it is much more alive.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I love what you've done to both.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, I want to show you guys this. Why does that do that? I'm going to show you this other option.
Carissa,
Yeah.
how long did it take to paint that peacock? Because you said it's a huge piece.
I probably spent like maybe a week and a half or so on that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys, look at Eldon.
He's so cute.
Isn't he adorable? He's on this like balance beam. He's on a board and he's walking across the balance beam. But look at this country kid growing up.
Yep. Future gymnast.
Isn't he cute? Okay, let me find. This is it. Okay, so this is, I wanted to show you a technique where you can get really fluid, and you'll need a spray bottle. I did this in my art journal rather than, you know, a taped down piece of watercolor paper. This kind of helps you keep the attitude of play, but feel free to do it, you know, on your regular watercolor board. So I've sprayed some water on the paper. I'm going to use, this is an acrylic ink. I'm using some black. And you can take the dropper and just drop it into the water, and then it spreads into the wetness. You can also use watercolor for this. You know, just pre-mix your puddles of color, and you can either drop it in with the brush, or if you have a dropper, you can use that. And I would say start with less water than more, because as you'll see, you can add more water as you go. But if there's too much water down, it kind of all just merges together. But here I'm going to spray a little more water in to get the flow happening. This is a great way to just kind of play around and learn how the watercolor works. This is an acrylic, a fluid acrylic craft paint. So use whatever you have on hand. You know, if you have some acrylics, you might want to try using them. This was a little gloppier than I expected. So I'm going to take a brush and kind of smush it around a little bit. Adding some more water first to get the flow happening. When I did this painting, I was kind of thinking about the collective consciousness of our world right now. We're all kind of in the same, you know, it's an unusual circumstance for us all to be kind of in the same consciousness with this coronavirus. So I'm just spreading the green around a little bit. If you do this, be mindful of your color choices, because if you use colors that are opposite each other, you know, they're going to get muddy. So you want colors that are a little more analogous to each other, or just not opposite. Adding some more water. And then this is a iridescent gold, fluid acrylic. I want to get some of the high flow fluid acrylics. These aren't the high flow, they're just the regular. This is just a really fun thing to do if you don't want to have to, if you just want to play, you know, which there's so much value in just creative play. It really can just open up your possibilities. And the other thing is, you can take some of these things that you learn and incorporate them into more controlled paintings if you want. Again, I'm going to just move this around with the brush a little bit to get it to flow more. What's nice about this painting is that there's kind of a mix of, you know, the black ink really spread out and flowed a lot, and then the gold and the green spread out a little bit more, and then the gold is pretty contained. And so there was a mix of the fluidity of the different colors. So they each have their own quality on the page. Then I accidentally kind of splattered some, and I liked how that looked. So I grabbed some of the black paint and just splattered it onto the wet green with my brush. The idea behind this now is to get some different kind of mark making happening so that it's not all just kind of a smushy blob. You want the marks to have a little bit of variety to get some visual interest. And, you know, as you do this, you'll also discover the value of not overdoing it, because if I went in everywhere, it would just become a mess. So now I have a water-soluble pencil, black pencil, and I'm holding it super loosely, and I'm just kind of randomly doing these mark makings, and I'm spreading it. Where I spread it through the black paint, it kind of brings that out into the other areas. And again, this is just to get another quality of line. You can see how wet that is, right? It's still moving around and doing its thing. That black is going to merge into the green there. This is kind of like, well, it's not kind of, this is more like process art, where the process of the paint becomes the content. Here I'm kind of arching that line over onto the other page to kind of unite them. And I'm showing you the pencil here, but you can't really read it. I think it's called a Statler. So that's it. And then let me just show you what the finished thing looked like dry. Why? I don't know why that does that. New share, desktop. Huh. Well, I'm going to stop the share because why is that doing that? Oh. Okay. I'm still on screen share. Okay. Can you see that? So this, in this shot, you can see the metallic gold a little better and the green, and you can see how there's actually.
I just see you, Carissa. I don't see the.
Oh, okay.
I don't see the art.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay. All right, let me try one more time here. Sorry. Now, can you see it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So it wasn't quite all the way dry. Some of the black is still wet. It took a long time to dry. I put it outside on the deck in the sun. But in this shot, you can see a little bit more the metallic quality of the green and especially the gold. And also that there's kind of real substance to that acrylic paint. You know, it has a real presence on it. But there's a lot of subtlety of color and tones going on here, and it's kind of like a dance of the materials on the page. So it's really a fun, this is a fun thing to do, and so hopefully you're feeling inspired to play around with that idea.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about all of that? Any of that? Oh, I didn't show you the project. See, I'm so like removed from the project. I didn't even go over that. Okay, let me be the teacher and show you the project.
It says that it's recording right now. Is your
Oh, yes.
your buddies? It's okay. I just
Yes.
wanted to feel aware.
I meant to mention that. It was waiting for you guys to all come on. Yeah, so I've run out of, hold on, I can only do one thing at a time. Let me just get this up so you're not looking at let me just at least get something for you to look at, and then I'll tell you what's happening. Okay. I ran out of cloud space for my video demos, and so I can't really share them with you that way anymore. I didn't realize, how that was working, because I'm storing them in the cloud and then emailing you the videos because they're too long for me to email. So SBCC we have our own YouTube channel. And so I'm going to start recording the entire class. And then I'm going to try I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but I'm going to attempt to upload the recording of the class onto my YouTube channel each week. So you guys can go back and watch that there. And the nice thing about it is you can move it forward to the demos. You don't have to watch the whole thing. So is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to go through some of these paintings of mine to talk about the project that I had kind of lined up for you guys, which is combining a couple of different animals in a setting that is a bit whimsical and kind of narrative. So these are all paintings that I did in the 90s. This was actually a commission of these English bluebirds. There was an English woman who wanted a turtle with these English bluebirds in the garden. So what I did was, and this was before we had Google Images, so I had to go to the library or whatever to get my photos. Now we have the convenience of just getting them in an instant. But I got the photo of the turtle and then the photo of the birds and drew them in. Well, first I got those selected, and then I went out to my garden and picked the flowers to bring them in. So these paintings are done from a combination of photographs and then from life, from live flowers. And what I want you guys to think about as you do these is to have them kind of interacting in a way that they're relating to one another. So this one just has one bird with some elderberries, and then I did this border of violets around it. Quite a few of these actually have borders. Let's see, here's a cat in a garden of tulips. That's from 1994. So these are really old. And this was really when I was in my mode of painting to please, because it was, I was raising my family on this money. I had Angora rabbits back in this day. So I would bring the rabbits in and actually put them on my table and have them pose for me. And then again, get the flowers from my garden. So here's one with a lot of whites. And, as a reminder, you'll be using the white of the paper as your whites and just a lot of water with a little bit of tone. And notice how I have this little fuchsia coming in front of the rabbit, kind of Oh, and over here in the front, kind of integrate them into your environment, into your garden, so that they're not separate. You really want them to look like they're in the garden. Here's another border piece with the fruit. Notice how I have the grapevines curling around the border up here. You can get really playful with these. You know, the invitation is to kind of be very fanciful and playful with it. Here's a rabbit with the towhee and the wild roses. These were all from my garden.
Carissa, can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
The very first one that you showed that you were commissioned, how do you get that same tonality or the same, yes. Do you add something to your colors so that they, like one color, so they all look harmonious? Like they're not really all bright, they're all subdued. How do you get that look?
Well, to be honest, part of this was, you know, it's so old. Like this painting is really the pigments and the watercolors back then weren't as bright.
Oh.
That's part of it. I wasn't using the India inks, so the colors aren't as vivid. But, you know, maybe they're a little more mixed or something. No, I mean, to answer your question, I didn't add a color to unify them all, but the colors that I've chosen are all a little softer and more subdued. So they're more mixed. And when you look at this painting, I don't have any primary colors. They're all secondary or tertiary colors. So they're all going to be a little more mixed and therefore less intense and bright. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you do want to think about your color palette, you know. So here I have three animals. I've got the kitten and the frog and the butterfly. Notice they're kind of in the pyramid composition. And these are all spring flowers. So this one is brighter. It's got the primary yellow, the primary blue, the primary red. So this one is a little brighter. Let's see, I wanted to show you this one. This one, look at the eagle owl. His wingspan goes all the way from one side of the paper to the other. So again, there's this kind of this pyramid form happening. But, you know, feel free to let the animal take up a huge amount of the space. And then for the moon, I placed something round up here to trace around to create that round shape. And then for the sky, you can see I have a few different blues and darks for that midnight sky. And you can see the blooms here. I used lots of water, started up here, and just kept adding my puddles of color as I went. And I painted around these little tiny white shapes to leave the white of the paper to read as stars. So that's one way of painting a night sky. And then down below, since it's kind of a wildlife scene, I put in these ferns, which kind of grew behind my house. And I gathered some little wild mushrooms to put in and some little violets, and then put the little mouse down here. This one's from 1997. A lot of these I have as note cards. Here's one where I put it in just a really kind of fanciful environment with this kind of natural border of butterflies and a family of elephants. So you can really let your imagination run wild with you here. Here's one that's kind of tells a little bit of a story. It's the mother bird feeding her babies in the garden glove, you know, with the clothespins. So you can create a setting within your garden. Here's one with another border of musical notes. And when you do your animals together, you know, like have them looking at each other like this, or somehow, like here's the frog is looking out at the viewer, but then the cat and the bird are kind of looking at each other. You want them relating. And this one actually, you know, it's pretty simple. It's not real busy. There's a lot of just open sky space here. So you can, it doesn't have to be busy like a lot of mine are. Some of them are pretty more simple. Here I put this birdhouse in and painted this kind of crazy design on it with the tulips. And here I've got a black background. Let's see, just show you a couple more and then here's a bunny with a frog. Again, a lot of water with just a little bit of pigment for the bunny. Remember too that if you have a separate shape like the inside of an ear or the outside of an eye or like the little part of the nose here or these shapes on the frog, remember that you're going to be painting those separately from the rest of the animal so that you create that hard edge and retain the shape. Let it dry, let one area dry before you paint the other shape. In this one, I just wanted to talk about, you know, the colors on this. Basically, there's just this range of kind of mauvey, pinky purple in these flowers and in the veins of the ivy. And actually, even in the bunny and in this border line, and then the green of the frog and the ivy leaves, the leaves of the mums, and then this outside border color. So that's a nice way to kind of unify it. This one's called Kiss That Frog. And again, I'm making use of this border with the ivy kind of curling around it. And then this is kind of a riff on the box pop design that I've taught you guys, where the image is kind of popping out of the border. But this is a little bit of a different take on that. Here's another one with 3 animals. I've got the rabbit and the bluebird up here, and then the little mouse eating some berries. And then this is a flowering kale. Okay, I think, let's see if there's any more here I want to show you. I think, well, here's this one's kind of fun. I'll show you this one. Here's these 3 pigs having a tea party. So I found the picture of the pigs. Oh, I know where I got a lot of these pictures. My kids used to get that Ranger Rick magazine. And there were a lot of animals in that. So these pigs were in a Ranger Rick magazine. And then I dressed them. I added the teacups and the table and the, you know, the bow and the bib and the glasses to them to make them in a tea party thing. So we'll end with the pigs having a tea party. Okay, so this gives you lots of options this week. You can do a whimsical animal story. You can go through and collage on your pieces, or you can do a fluid watercolor abstract. And I'm curious what you guys what you're feeling called to do. How many of you are wanting to do the animal painting? Okay.
Maybe.
And then how many of you are wanting to go through your old paintings and do some collaging? Kathy, looks like, and Molly, okay. And okay. And then how many of you are wanting to try the fluid watercolor one? Okay, it looks like a bunch of you. Great. Okay, good. So I'm glad you're wanting to explore that. Great. So I just want to open it up for any questions or comments about the project before we move into our critique time.
Carissa, I missed the name of the paste. Can you tell us again?
It's called Yes Paste.
Okay.
YES.
Thank you.
It's really great. It's archival, it's non-toxic, it dries clear. It's super strong adhesive. It's really great.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
We've had great horned owl around our house the last 2 weeks.
Oh, I love them.
They're really hooters. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to do a picture and I was searching some and I found this one, but I don't know if it's a bad print here, but it's like a great horned owl that's chasing something, going through.
Flying, it's in motion, like landing on its prey, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So are those stripes just the bad printing job?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Well, I think
sorry.
still,
But it's just that how do you make it kind of stand out? It looks like it's just like all one value.
it's really not though, Lee. If you squint your eyes, there's a strong light being cast down on him.
Oh, okay.
Actually creating his body, his feet that are coming out to pounce on the mouse or whatever are sticking out into the light and catching it.
Yeah, because the wing, most of the wing's in shadow.
But there's still some markings on it to give it, So what I'm going to encourage you to do in order to really give this guy a strong dramatic presence that
that's what I want.
You want to, how I had my owl spanning the whole entire page?
Right.
I'd like to see you do that from the top edge to the bottom edge, just like it is in this photograph.
Oh, okay.
And you may want to do the grid on this because you could grid it out and draw your owl in, and then you can either expand on this environment that he's in and jazz it up a little bit, or create your own environment.
Oh, okay, good, thank you.
But I would do the grid to make sure you get,
it's really hard to keep all that perspective without doing a grid.
Yeah, I would do the grid, and that will help you make sure that you keep it large enough too, that you don't diminish it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I tend to do.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm telling you that. I know you. I know your tendencies. Okay, good.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. All right, let's just take a really quick bathroom break and we'll come back for share time. So you can, if you have any paintings you want to show, you can either grab them or if you have them on your desktop. I've got 3 that Donna emailed me that I can show you on my desktop. So we'll just come back here in a couple minutes, okay? Okay, how are we doing? Are people pretty much back?
Such a see a little.
All righty. So yeah, just to let you know, my plan is, since I'm not working on the project for this time, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to create more videos like I showed you today of just kind of more like prompts to get you to try different things with the watercolor, just to kind of play around with practicing with it. But feel free, you know, to turn these into, you know, you can think of them as either experiments or finished paintings. You know, sometimes they can be finished abstract paintings. So hopefully that will be helpful to you. And then that will kind of lead up to our final project, which is going to be an inner landscape. So you can draw on those different techniques to create your inner landscape painting for our last project. So hopefully everyone's good with the program. So why don't, Donna, should we start with your paintings since I have them on my desktop? Okay, I'm gonna get Donna's paintings up here to share with you. So this is her landscape. This is your patterned landscape, I believe. Right, Donna? Why don't you unmute yourself so you can tell us about this? Oh, I've unmuted you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
It was just the sort of surrealistic landscape. But in the beginning, I didn't have any of the front in there. And you suggested I do something with that. So even though these are upside down kind of trees, they still sort of read as trees, I think.
Oh, I remember this painting. Yeah, you had those stripy kind of hills in the background,
Right, and this was
patterns in the background, and I wanted you to bring some of that into the foreground.
right.
Yeah, that really helps a lot. And the other thing it does is it unites the foreground with the background, because that brown color in the hills in the background is now in those triangle shapes in the foreground. And then did you deepen the water?
No. Well, a little. I guess I did, yeah.
Yeah, that really
Yeah.
helped a lot too. Beautiful. Yeah, it really helped a lot, the changes that you did to that. I think one little area for me that could still be worked on, can you see my cursor right here?
Uh-huh.
I think I would deepen this background in between the trees.
Oh, okay.
To get a little more contrast. It's a bit kind of nebulous in this area. Like all the rest has a really strong pattern, but this is kind of weak in comparison. So I think I would just beef that up.
Should I make it darker?
Yeah, I would put darker, and look, you've got this triangle shape. You can kind of bring this up into here.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, I would kind of make this kind of bring in some of this purpley dark brown color into this area.
Okay, thanks.
Does anybody else, you know, another thing, I'm wondering if you want to kind of deepen this a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, right now it's kind of merging with the water, and I think it having a little bit, this is really distinct.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of starts to merge over here. It looks like you painted it all while it was still.
Well, I think that's because the water was up on the hill, sort of.
Oh,
Like,
it's kind of going up into
here. It was like the edge of the lake. But yeah, I could darken that.
I think I would probably darken that area.
Okay, like the purpley colors.
Yeah, the violet.
Yeah.
This blue violet color, maybe.
Okay.
Good. Does anybody have any comments on this painting?
Really like Donna, I love this painting. In fact, it's inspired me. It has inspired me to do one. And I just looking at this and looking at yours, I know exactly what I'm going to do for this project. So thank you.
Oh, good, Sarah.
It's beautiful.
Easy.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the advantages to working in a group is getting inspired by each other. So I'm glad we can still do that here.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's really beautiful. It's just the way those colors and the light hits the lake. It's just amazing.
Yeah, this is so lovely. This light coming down like that. And then look, the light comes down into here and it even flows down into here.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. So subtle, but really gorgeous. Yeah, your sky is nice use of the watercolor up there.
That's the hardest part, I think.
The sky.
Right.
Yeah, I want to do another whole, I haven't done a sky lesson in a while, but this summer when we do our outdoor painting, I want to spend some time on clouds and skies. Okay, let's move to your abstract here. This is interesting. You've got a couple of eyeballs in here.
I did.
So it's turned into a portrait, a face. Wow.
It's a fish.
Oh,
that's what I see. I see a fish, two fish. Actually.
Yeah, a fish. And this is a bird coming after the fish.
Oh.
Okay. I see a playful cat.
Did you use some metallic paint on this one?
I did.
Nice.
Some of the inks. I tried those.
All right. Yeah, pretty colors. And I think the whites work on this. You've got a little bit up in the upper right and then down in this corner, and then it opens up here on the left side. So,
You know what I see are those fighter guys in the ring, and they sometimes have costumes on and masks across their eyes.
Oh.
Here's the one guy, and here's the other.
yeah, it's amazing how once you add a couple of eyes in, you can read all kinds of different creatures and figures into it, right?
Very pretty.
Yeah, I really like your use of colors here, Donna. It's really, really pretty.
Thank you.
She's got the one strong yellow here, and then a little bit of red, and then this blue coming around. So the primaries are kind of sparsely used, but they kind of create the composition with the yellow in the center and then the blue around the edge like that.
I did it like the blue so that the fish would stand out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that worked. Excellent. Good job.
Thank you. I'm so happy to have time to paint.
I know, isn't it great? I know, it's really such a luxury.
This one's kind of pale, I guess. Huh?
And then here's your bird painting. I think this is a strong painting.
You do?
Yeah.
This is the one I like least.
And tell us why that is.
I don't know. It's just kind of blah. Maybe the birds should stand out more somehow.
Well, you know, it's not bad. I think maybe you just could use a little more practice with the birds. I don't know.
Somehow make them stand out more.
Yeah. Well, you could go in and just do some detailing with a fine brush and bring out some of the areas that are already down there, you know?
I started with the flowers, this deep, deep pink, and then I changed my mind. So I put that bleed-proof white over the top.
It's a nice layering effect, though. So maybe you could do a little more layering with the birds.
Yeah, okay. Because it just is kind of blah.
Well, they're a little stiff, I'll have to say. You know, they're just a bit stiff.
Right.
So
this is Cheryl. I could see if you put a little bit of dark on the lower, well, our right, looking at it, kind of put some darker blue or maybe a darker color, and then having it mute up and be light at the top, just to give a little bit of variation to the background. I don't want you to mess it up, but maybe you can lay some color in there and see if you like it first. I don't know.
To make it more of a blend, are you talking about, Cheryl?
Yeah, like maybe start out with a darker blue at the bottom, just to, and then pale it out, like kind of
do a blend from dark to light.
Blend it up and let the light be up at the top, maybe darker at the bottom. I don't know how to. That's what I would do, I guess, is just make it a little bit more variation in the background, possibly, and bring the birds out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
You could even use a little bit of, like, where the sun hits the bird, you could put a little bit of the white back into it with maybe the white, what is it, Dr. Martens or something, just to highlight where the light might be shining on, to give it a little more life, I guess. That's all I would say.
The birds seem a little flat. You know, if they get some like texture around the edges, maybe darker or something, to make them look, you know, more round than flat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good ideas.
Yeah, and the fact that you've got that opaque light pink on top of your flowers, that layering, and it's actually got more of a gouache look. I think you could bring that into more areas of the painting, like the birds and even the branches and the leaves. I would kind of build everything up more like you have with the flowers. My eye keeps going to that one flower, this one right here.
Yeah.
I love this flower. I'm just in love with this, and I keep going to this. And I think what I'm wanting is more of this type of quality. You know, this is a little weak over here.
Okay.
You could build that up to kind of help move the eye and move around a bit more.
Right. Okay.
So, but I think this painting has a lot more, a lot of potential.
Thank you.
You need to put a little more time in, so hopefully you'll be feeling inspired.
Is there a way to incorporate the very pale aqua color at the top left of the painting somewhere else, or is it too late to do that? Because it introduces light.
Yes,
more of a
I think that's what
that.
Cheryl was talking about. She wants more of a sense of light coming down. What did you use? What did you use for this color, Cheryl? What kind of paint, or Donna, what kind of paint did you use?
For the background?
For this color right up here, this aqua color, right?
Oh, it's the same color. It's just lighter.
Is it a watercolor?
Yeah, it is. I think it's like some kind of turquoise.
Was it in a tube?
Well, at one point, but now it was on my palette.
Okay.
So if I darken everything at the bottom, that'll show up more maybe.
The other thing is the paint quality down here is kind of weak. Like this up here is all nice and pretty, like saturated. It's really applied pretty strongly, and it looks like you got tired down here or something. It's a little weak down here. It's a little thin. The paint quality is just not quite up to snuff. So I agree with Cheryl about doing some more, getting some more paint down in this area.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. So I'm going to stop that share and come back and ask. I'm going to mute Donna and see who else has some work to share. Kathy?
Yes, I wanted to share.
Hold on one second, Kathy. Just want to remind you guys, if you want to put her on speaker view, and then you can pin her video at the top in her little box, which I'm looking for. Where are you, Kathy? And then her box will stay big so you can look at her work. So you go to those three little buttons and click on pin video, and then she'll stay in the big screen. Okay, what do you have for us?
You were showing older pictures with ideas, and I just, a while back, loved to do kind of collage sorts of things. And one of my favorites I wanted to show, just that, let's see if I can get it. Oh, no, I don't have the full screen. How do I do that?
For you, if you go to your little box, and there's three little dots in a blue box.
Oh, yes.
And if there's a drop-down box, and if you look for something that says pin video or pin something, they're all a little different, depending on. Are you on a iPad?
Yes.
Yeah, those are different. Does anybody know how that works on an iPad?
I could never figure it out.
There is a way, but I don't really know how it works on that.
Huh. I don't know. Well, I'll try with it if I can get it.
Yeah, I can guide you to let you know. So back it up a little bit so we can see more of it. And then bring your camera down and back up a little more. Okay, a little bit. There we go. That's pretty good. So it looks like
it's a desert Mariposa lily.
Okay.
And so on the background, I actually used this handmade paper that has bits of wood in it, 2 different kinds, and tore them and glued them onto the watercolor paper, and then cut out the desert Mariposa lily and glued it on top of it so that it looked like sand underneath it. Because they are the desert flowers. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then let's see if these work. Yeah. Okay. Okay, this one, and
Oh, it looks like a set.
yeah, I hang them together.
Uh-huh.
Oh, why am I not getting that? Okay. Okay, I cut out, they're, different colors, and I cut them out and put them just on a black paper, so they just boom out.
Yeah, it makes it so dramatic. Anytime you use that black, it just really adds a lot of drama.
Yeah. So it is fun to cut out
Wow.
paintings and do that. So I like doing that.
Do you have any now that you're feeling compelled to cut up and collage? Well, it looks like she went away. I don't know what happened to Kathy. So we'll let her kind of regroup, and then I'm gonna, oh, Lorinda, did you have something you want to show?
Yeah, this is the abstract I've been working on for a long time. I kind of got tired of it near the end, like I just want to get finished. And let's see.
Oh yeah, I love this one. The Magical Forest.
Yeah.
Back up a little bit. And then hold it up. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I love this painting.
Do you like it? Because
this
is what I regret, is this deep purple.
Oh, not at all. Oh,
No?
No. Oh, to me, not at all. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You know, the thing is, it brings in some much needed richness and contrast and deepness. I mean, there's so much light and kind of playful joy, but it needs a little bit of like dark mystery in there. And that really brings it in. I love this painting so much.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
Ooh.
You know, and she's kind of combined my 2 projects of the double blind drawing along with the patterned landscape, because she incorporated those kind of teardrop shapes in some other kind of patterns over on the lower left.
Down here?
The other side.
Oh, down here.
Yeah, down here a little bit. That's exquisite.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was trying to do almost like rows of a crop up here with the green interspersed with purple, but it got messy. It
probably you did it while the paint was too wet, maybe.
Yeah, I was trying to make the lines soft, but I think it was too wet.
Too wet. Yeah, it's finding that little tricky spot. The timing is everything with the watercolor. And that's why I'm giving you these other kind of experimental options, to give you some time to play around with the drying time and you know, finding just that right moment, because the more you can do that and get a feel for it, the more you'll be in control of it.
Yeah.
But I think it works, those little striations of a field, of a cultivated
Okay.
field. Is there anything, there's a couple of little areas that I'm wanting to see a bit more resolved. So over on the far corner where we were before, the lower corner.
Down here?
That dark blue shape.
This one?
Yeah. It's looking a little splotchy.
Yeah, it is.
My eye is going to that, but not because my eye is going to it as kind of an area of imperfection rather than exquisiteness.
Okay.
And so, and also I think bringing a really dark blue indigo onto that to add another darkness to this shape, then you'd have this dark shape, your dark purple, and then your dark turquoise in the tree at the top.
Okay.
It will make a nice triangular composition.
So make this more indigo color?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then do you see what I'm saying though? The triangle shape it will form. Yep.
Like this, this, and that.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
It will help kind of ground it down to that lower left corner.
Okay. I was wondering if some of these areas of, I call this my trail of tears here.
Oh, beautiful.
Thanks. Are they too washed out compared to the really
No,
top?
I really enjoy the contrast between that light subtlety and the deep dark mystery. I think that's what makes the painting. I love this painting.
Oh, thank you.
Really
Well,
good job.
I've had a lot of fun with the abstracts, and now I'm ready to do some animals. And my son has a macro lens, and he's been taking videos of snails, and he just took pictures of a blue jay in our backyard. So, and believe it or not, snails are pretty interesting with those long stalks and their eyeballs sticking out.
Oh,
so.
yeah. When I lived in Oregon, I painted those snails.
Yeah.
They are fun. They are really fun. I think you'll enjoy doing that.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lorinda.
Sure.
Lorinda?
Yeah, Simi?
I love that painting. It's so fanciful, and it reminds me a bit of Donna's, and what I'm seeing is Puff the Magic Dragon, where it's your trail of tears. I just see that dragon perhaps because of the jagged edges.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And then I see Little Red Riding Hood with the wolf in the middle. I don't know what I'm eating or drinking lately. I'm just seeing children's stories coming out in everyone's paintings. So it's just gorgeous.
Oh, thank you, Simi.
Yeah, I agree. I could see that.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Chris, I want to apologize for
we lost
blacking you out. I just maneuvered the iPad poorly.
That's okay. We're glad to have you back.
And I don't know if you want to see, I was aiming towards the picture from last week.
Yeah, let's see your picture from last week.
It's not very interesting. I just took the flower from last session that I was doing, and it wasn't quite finished, and then I added leaves.
Okay.
So that was the flower and leaves.
You know, this might be a good potential for collaging onto another painting.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just floating there by itself.
Yeah, yeah.
It needs something else.
Yeah, so why
good idea.
Yeah, it's really fun. I took a couple of days when we first went into this, quarantine. I took a couple of days and pulled out all my unfinished or unsatisfied paintings and just laid them all out and just kind of got different ideas and just spent a couple days reworking them and cutting things up, and it's a really fun thing to do.
That sounds fun.
Especially if you're not feeling the energy to start something new. It's a good way to kind of get yourself back into the studio and just get creating. You know, sometimes we can't wait for inspiration to strike. We just have to get in the studio and start working away. And so that's a good way to start.
Oh, I think I'm going to do that.
Good.
It's the collaging that is really striking me today.
Good. Glad you're feeling inspired to do that. Yeah, that flower would be really a great piece to collage someplace.
Oh, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, who else has some art to show us?
I just wanted to make a comment. This is Cheryl. To Lorinda, I want to paint a blue jay. I've had one in my garden as well, and I've taken some pictures of it taking a bath in this little bowl that I have on the ground. That it loves that better than the. I have a bird bath right next to it practically, but my father's name is Jay, and so I'm getting this idea of painting a blue jay like something fanciful. My dad was into music and he was an artist and he was in sales, and anyway, I thought I might paint a blue jay painting, but I don't have any great. I guess I can go online and get a photo of one because I haven't been able to get a great one of this one I've had in my garden.
Do you want me to email you a picture?
I was going to ask you if you have anything that's anything that your son would like to share.
He just took them this morning, but if you give me your email,
okay,
then
Cheryl's Art Now at yahoo.com. Cheryl's with an S, CHERYLS Art Now. Cheryl's Art Now at yahoo.com.
Okay, great.
I wanted to show Lee. I have a book. This is a picture of can you see a picture of a hawk, but it reminded me of his owl with the way
Lee, yeah.
Anyway, this is an owl sitting on a fence post, but there's some, can you see it? I know the sun is glaring.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted him to see how the feathers and the, even though it's an owl, I mean, his is an owl, he might be able to get an idea.
I don't know if he's still with us. It looks like he might have signed off.
Oh, darn. Okay. I'm just still working on my orchid, so I'm not going to take up much time. I'm just still detailing it.
Looking good. Hold it up again. Looking beautiful, Cheryl.
I haven't done much on it, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine.
I've been making crackers and doing stuff in the kitchen and I don't know, other stuff.
That's fine. Whatever you're feeling called to do.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I've had so much time to paint and I'm doing other stuff. So I don't want to make excuses. It's just what's happening.
You know, and it's okay to have those dormant periods. I mean, for me, when I take a break from painting, that's when my cup really fills up.
Right.
And then when you do get back into it, it can really be powerful. So just be gentle with yourself right now and just
thank you.
Yeah, if you want to make crackers, make crackers. We love your crackers.
It takes me all day practically to make 3 batches, but
they're so good with all those seeds and everything. Oh,
yeah, I know. Thank you.
Yummy. Thank you, Cheryl.
You're
okay,
welcome.
who else has something to show?
I can.
Okay, great, Dennis. Ooh. Ooh. Wow.
So the plant flower kind of theme. It's this is kind of a fruit that I've always loved, loquats.
Oh yeah.
And they don't sell them in markets because they're so perishable. But if you have a tree, they're just delicious and big seeds in them, and it's fun to spit the seeds out.
Yeah, we have a loquat tree, and I love sitting out there and spitting the seeds out. Beautiful. Wow, I love your use of darks and lights in this painting. There's a real sense of light coming in from the right. And then you've got the darker edges around the loquat. Did you use a brush? Is that all brush work?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
It's all watercolors. I haven't really done very well with the India colors yet.
Your colors are getting, I feel that your work is getting more bold. Do you feel that?
It varies. I like the strong colors in this one.
Yeah, it's really strong. Your darks are really powerful. Great value changes. And then also notice how he's got the scale, the size of them getting smaller as they go back. So there's a real sense, even though this is kind of a close-up of the loquats, there's still a sense of perspective and of space going back because they get smaller as they recede. And then also, and I'm sure you were thinking about this, but your negative shapes are really interesting in this composition.
Yeah, I like those.
Yeah, because of the cropping.
White kind of around them initially, and I just kind of kept creeping up on them and putting a little more color into them.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's kind of almost an abstract quality to some of the areas because of those negative space shapes. Beautiful. Yeah, good job.
I love the colors, Dennis. I love the colors.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the contrast of the warm kind of orangey loquat colors against those cool, very cool greens.
It's just fun trying to get the flow of colors on each of the different loquats and not have them all be the same.
Yeah, you really did that. And then he's got a little bit of the orange worked into the greenery of the leaves and a little bit of the green worked into the fruit. So they're not completely cut off from each other. They're united. So that brings the cohesive wholeness to the piece. Good job.
And then I tried, this isn't as bold, but I tried sort of my first animal.
Oh, that's cute. Is that your kitty cat?
It's a neighbor's kitty cat.
Oh, it looks
I
like
always loved animals, but I haven't really gotten into painting them. And
so is this what medium did you use for this?
this is watercolor.
But it's just black paint?
Yeah, it was almost a monochromatic. The window has a little of the blue into the black, and then there's a little brown into the black, kind of on the suggestion of the stool or chair, whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
And then a lot of white around it. But
did you use a photograph or?
the cat was a photograph. The rest was made up pretty much.
Okay.
One of the things I've always kind of been intrigued by cats. They like to sit up and sort of perch on walls or chairs or whatever, and look out windows or look down from wall tops or something. And I always have thought of it as reading the paper, but for them, it's reading the neighborhood.
Right. I know. I love that too.
That was kind of my thought with this one, with looking out the window.
Yeah, you really captured that. I just have one suggestion on this piece. So you've got that kind of light washy tone in the window, and you've got the light washy tone down in the foreground on the bottom of the stool. And then there's a little bit of wash. Yeah. What I'd like to see is some of that wash that you have in the window and the bottom of the stool underneath the cat to bring some shadow in and to kind of help read him as sitting on that stool more. And then you'll have this visual flow of that tonal subtle wash flowing from the upper corner down to the opposite lower corner.
Still keeping it fairly light though?
Yeah, very light. It's a very subtle light thing, very, very light. But do you see what I'm talking
I
about?
have to start flowing it from here down through here. Is that what?
Yeah, you don't even have to have it flow down exactly from the window. You can leave that break between the window and the stool. But if you bring a shadow onto that side of the cat, there will still be this flow of that wash going down, and it will help ground the cat onto the stool. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Can the rest of you guys kind of see what I'm talking about there?
So Carissa, are you talking about putting wash on the paper under the cat or on the stool around the paper?
Just where the edge of the cat meets the surface, and it looks like it's the paper, but the wash could even extend out onto the stool just for some shadow. The thing is, you've got that washy tone indicating kind of shadow in the window and in the stool, but there's not really any shadow being cast from the cat. And since the cat has all that substance, and presence, casting a shadow below the cat is just going to help kind of connect him down to the surface. And it creates that visual, that diagonal tone. So hopefully that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I'll try that. And then I did one other one, which is, it's similar to one.
Dennis,
I don't know.
this is Alan. Dennis?
Yeah.
I think Alan is trying to say something to you.
Can you hold that cat back up? Did you do a drawing before you did the painting?
Yes. Very light though.
It's just so hard to get a soft, fuzzy object down as well as you did there. That's really a great, great road painting.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a minute. How did he create the soft texture of the cat with his brush? Can you see how he did that, Alan?
Well, with strokes, I mean, you can get the strokes going in certain directions.
Right.
Plus, he left the white, so you get some contrast.
And there's a little kind of green in the black that I put in a few places in the cat. I don't know if you can see it close enough up. So it's not totally black.
Yeah.
And then I had bigger strokes, and then I had lighter strokes, which I was trying to do to.
Yeah.
Because I started out having more of the bigger strokes, and it was too much, and so then I added a lot of lighter strokes and multi-directional on them because their hair is often kind of messed up.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a good way to get the texture of fur is by using different size brushes for different, thicknesses of the strokes.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Thanks.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Really beautiful painting.
And then this was one I did down at the Carpinteria Slough maybe a year ago, but it was all kind of in darks. And so, so much of the time down there, the grasses are sort of dead or not dead, but not with green or life in them. And so I tried to, and the painting came out quite differently, but I changed some of the other things in it too. But I tried to get a whole different color palette to it, and it's quite bold.
It is quite bold. Yeah, it's those dark brush strokes that you do to outline shapes really brings it out. Gives it kind of a graphic look. But you've also got the subtlety of, the blends happening.
Very pretty.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you want to soften the edges of those clouds a little bit.
Can I do it after the fact?
What's that?
Can I do it after the fact?
Yeah, I think it's watercolor, right? Is it regular watercolors? Yeah, you could just go in with a little bit of water and just kind of soften the edges a bit. Just put some water down and, maybe do a little bit of rubbing with a paper towel or something, or even with a brush, just to soften the edges a tiny bit. Might be good. They look a little, to me, they look a little out of place in relation to the rest of the painting. Does anybody else have an opinion on that? That's just my take, that's just my subjective take on it. I'm wondering how other people feel about the hard-edged clouds. Anybody else have an opinion?
I think they're okay, but either way would be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
I look forward to your class on skies and clouds.
Yeah, we'll spend a couple sessions.
I try to do them very fast because otherwise they just get muddy and I mess them up. And so I just try to do it and stop, and it takes a discipline, but maybe there's other ways to do it that I could really benefit from.
Well, there's lots of different ways because there's so many different types of clouds and sky formation. So yeah, I'm wanting to spend a couple of classes on skies for sure. We'll definitely be exploring that this summer. Great. Well, you're prolific as always, Dennis. I'm so glad you have all this time to paint.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Good. Really glad.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for sharing those. You're very inspiring. Great. Okay, anybody else? And if you don't have paintings to share, you're always welcome just to check in and tell us how things are going for you. Does anybody? Molly? Okay, I'm going to unmute you, Molly. Or you have to unmute yourself, Molly.
I did some sort of a crazy painting now. I had done a horse. And then when you started showing what you did, I sort of wild. So it became a little bit of a crazy wild. And I'm almost thinking of making it into a unicorn because it took a life of its own.
That's so fun. Did you just do that today?
Well, I had drawn the horse earlier, and then I started, filling it in with black. And then when you started talking about your, doing the shading all around and just putting in all kinds of paints, but I think I chose the wrong colors. It became like an American symbol or something because it has the red, white, and blue.
Oh,
And
I don't read it that way at all, just because of the imagery.
Well, it looks sort of wild. I almost feel like I should put like a unicorn horn on top of it.
Sure. Why not? Yeah, get fanciful. That's the whole point of this assignment. Your red, it's not really the red of the American flag because this red is a bit more of a magenta. And the American flag red is more of like a cadmium red. So it doesn't read as the patriotic colors to me at all. And then the fact that you have that gold, is that an iridescent gold?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's
it
really
was going to be the stars, because it feels like it's floating in the air. So I put some stars around it.
It's really pretty. It's so fun. It's very magical and uplifting, Molly.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of turning it into a unicorn.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks like a unicorn.
Okay, it will become a unicorn then.
Fun. That's so great.
Molly,
Okay.
I like it the way it is. I wouldn't change it. I like it the way it is.
Oh, you're so sweet, really.
I love it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Thank you. Thank you.
I wish I could give you a hug.
Molly,
it's different. Everybody shows their beautiful sceneries and their beautiful things, and here I come with something crazy, but it's fun.
That's what we love about you.
Molly, I just wanted to say, this is Cheryl.
Yes, dear.
There's something called a horse in the clouds in Chinese medicine. It's the air horse, but it's the horse and it's up in the clouds. It doesn't have its feet on the ground. It's like in the air. So that's what it reminded me of, to see a horse that was like in the air. It wasn't grounded. So anyway, it just reminded me of that. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, maybe my mind is in the clouds like the horses.
It's a good
Thank
place
you,
to be. It's a really good place to be, Molly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
Glad you're having fun with that.
Yes,
Good.
I had fun with it.
Good. Okay, anybody else?
Chris is Alan.
Oh, okay, great, Alan.
I'm going to look at it this way. This is the plant, the hanging plant that I had here yesterday. Last week.
Oh yeah.
And it filled in a little bit of the color. My question really is.
Simi, can you, I need to unmute Simi because there we go. We're getting some feedback because you guys are both in the garage, but we're good now. Okay.
Oh yeah, actually it makes my painting look better.
So yeah, this is that succulent, the mix of succulents in the pot that you've added to this week. I love the subtlety of color. Did I mute? Ellen, can you unmute yourself?
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we couldn't hear you before, so I'm sorry. Can you say again what you were saying about this?
Well, just the colors, like you said, are subtle, and I'm wondering if they're just too subtle. It's a fairly good sized painting, but it seems like it should be stronger. The color should be stronger.
Well, there is a place for subtlety for sure, and I think the reds and the oranges are pretty strong.
Right.
I think a lot of it depends on what you're going to do with the background.
Well, when you're looking down, this view is actually I took a photo of it. The view is of looking down on the pot. So there's a circle right here in the middle of it that's the dirt from the pot.
Uh-huh.
So I'm struggling a little bit with how to, it almost lends itself to a box pop,
Yeah, with a circle. Is there going to be more vegetation? I see a couple of pencil drawing lines at the top.
There's a little bit more to go.
Yeah, because right now there's actually a fair amount of negative space.
Right.
And so I'm thinking that it would be really good if you could fill up the space a little more with vegetation before you go in to do the background.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be
because
great.
otherwise it's just going to encroach. Right now there's actually more negative space than positive.
Right. Okay.
So definitely you want to get it to the point where it's like maybe 70% filled up.
Yeah, yeah.
Before you do your background. So I would take the time to do another layer of vegetation in there. But in terms of the color choices, I really like the subtleties of this. I'm thinking you might want to try to bring in some orange and yellow over to the, I'm not sure if it's over there. If you bring in some of the hot colors over there to kind of help keep the eye going around.
Right, right.
That would be a good choice to make. But I like your idea of the round circle shape of the dirt. And then what would you do for the exterior?
Well, the photo that I have shows a brick pattern on the ground.
Interesting.
So I was going to do a sort of light brick pattern.
Oh, cool. Then you'd have the contrast between like geometric shapes and the organic shapes too.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Yeah. And that zooming in, that cropping and the close-up does kind of make it more of an abstract design. Yeah, it's coming along. It looks like you're kind of getting into a meditation with this painting.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm taking a lot of time with it, and I'm doing blending very carefully, and it's coming out very well.
Yeah, it really is. And that's where, you know, that's where the subtlety is nice. It's nice to have that real subtle blend and change happening. It's very exquisite, and hopefully you're enjoying taking the time and slowing down with this.
I really am. This is probably the painting that I like the best.
Oh, good. It's so nice when you savor your painting time like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like a good book. You kind of don't want it to end because it's such an enjoyable place to be.
Yep.
Good. You're in your happy place.
Yep, exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Enjoy that, Alan. Okay, Simi, you're up next.
Let's see. Oh, hold on. Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Unmute.
You're unmuted.
Oh, good. Okay. So here was my photo of a plumeria plant. And I just love it's just so dainty and beautiful. And this is my version of it.
Yeah, this is kind of similar to the one you showed last week.
Yes, I started drawing it last week and then I painted it here.
You did the wisteria last week and now you've got the plumeria.
Yes, yes.
I like
I
like how you exaggerated the shapes and deepened the colors, made it a little bit more graphic.
Okay.
And then kind of you know, heightened the light green color. Like everything's kind of heightened on this.
Yeah. Okay, good. So that's
It's
one.
beautiful.
Thank
Gorgeous.
you. And then
I a nice little series.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
This was this color of a plumeria. So I just drew out I plotted it out so it'll look like that.
Uh-huh.
And it's in that shape that I did that large orange one, the 10 by 20, which I really enjoyed. So
yeah, it's a fun shape.
Started on this one.
Nice. And you're using your opera rose?
A dab of it. Mostly it's this one.
Oh, the magenta?
The magenta.
Okay, nice.
And then these two fluorescent ones.
Oh, pretty. Oh, you're having a good time. Yeah, I love orange and pink together. Such a pretty combo.
Okay.
Do you know what you're going to do for your background yet?
No, not yet.
Mm-hmm. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Flowers are really coming out nicely.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, they're really pretty. So prolific. You guys are on a roll. Do you guys paint together out there in the garage?
No, we listen to different kinds of music. But I will say it was so fun to finally hear Walker say that he really, really was enjoying this particular painting. And he's always so critical, and I think his work's so pretty. So
yeah,
I was just so happy for him to finally say those words out loud.
Yay, we love that. Yeah, we love that people can say that about their work. All right, thanks you guys. Okay, anybody else have any?
I'll show.
Okay, Francine. All righty.
Okay, can you see me? All right, so I was going through my old stuff. I was painting some new things and some old things, and so I had these two. They were really wimpy paintings of little. You can see it's small, and so I ended up using watercolor crayon to get some more, just some more vibrance in it. Just I wanted something to say something, so I did this one. Kind of fixed it, and then I did this one. That's of course sunflower, and then I just used some. I decided to do the opposite color on the color wheel and I did a blue background on it. So
Do you have crayons on this particular one?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
They're the water. They melt when you put water on them, and they just kind of go into the
yeah.
thing. So you can go on top of something that didn't work and kind of lift things out or cover up things. So it's pretty helpful.
Very nice.
Yeah. So those things, and then I'm starting on a. This is the beginning of a geranium painting. Let's see if I can get back here. So it's going to be filled in with leaves more.
Nice.
So
look at all the different colors she has in the reds of the geraniums.
It's really fun to do reds and do different reds. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, that's so pretty.
Got some purple and all that in it. So.
And I like how the geraniums are taking up. Last week you had a geranium painting that was mostly leaves.
That was my disaster. I'll show that next week. I went over that with some crayons and stuff too. It just, I couldn't revive it. It just.
Well, sometimes they're just meant to go in the cut up pile.
But no, I'm not throwing it away yet. I'm going to go over it with pen and ink, I think.
Okay, good.
I don't have to give up on it, or maybe crayons or something. But anyway, so I came to this. So.
Yeah, I like this one where the emphasis is more on the flowers.
Yeah. Anyway.
Beautiful. Well, you're in your happy place too.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah.
Good.
Pretty much. So.
Great.
Yeah.
Good job, Francine. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Is there anybody?
Talking about cats. I don't know if you can see.
There's your kitty on the bed.
My cat's been listening the whole time.
Hello, kitty.
Perfect for a painting.
Yeah.
Don't wake me up. This is well, he's not very awake. Hello.
Hello, kitty.
He was a rescue cat in Seattle, a street cat that our kids got, and then our kids' son and daughter-in-law left for Vietnam for a couple years, and we ended up with this kitty and his little sister. So he's been with us about 10 years. Sorry to wake you up. There you go.
Are you going to paint him sometime?
I think I should try to do that. I think I might try in this, the one that we're doing now. So
good.
That's all I do. The other cat is actually easier to paint because she never moves around, but.
Good. Okay, give me just a 2-minute break. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'm going to sign off. So.
Okay, all right. See you next. Are we signing off? Well, first of all, before I leave, is there anybody else who is going to share?
I have one I'm working on.
Okay, so let's just give me a minute. I'll be right back, Sarah.
I have to stay now because I want to see it.
Okay.
Hi, Francine.
Hi.
I'll put it up now. I've never done this before, so let me see if I can figure out how to do it. Okay, share content. Okay, just a minute. Oh, it won't let me do it. I have to wait.
Oh, I think you could do it. Can't you put it up?
No, well, I can hold it up, but I had a picture of it, so I wouldn't.
Oh.
But I can hold it up, I think. Can you see it?
Yeah. Ooh, I like it. Hold it up higher. There, yeah. Ooh. Wow.
I'm working on yellows and orange and red.
That's gorgeous.
Oh, all strawberry. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
So do you have two going on at once?
I have two. I'm going to make a triptych out of it. I have two.
Oh.
I'm going to have the third one. I haven't
Oh, I
started.
see. Oh, yeah.
It'll be mostly red.
Oh.
Are
My
you going
goals-
to do your dark background, Sarah?
No, I'm not on this one. I'm going to do a pale green turquoisey into blue.
Wow.
The background. I plan right now.
Okay, show Carissa. She just came back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to get you on.
I can't upload it, Chris. It says only you can upload paintings. I took a picture.
Oh, do you want me to? Do you have a digital file of it?
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry. I can make it so that you can share.
Okay,
So
that's great.
Sorry. Yeah, go for it. You're all set.
Okay, let's see. Share content. Photos. Okay. And this one.
Oh, there you go.
There we are. Thank you. Okay, this is my triptych that I'm working on of studies of yellows and reds and oranges.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting the details on the middle one. The one on the right, I think, is finished. I'm putting the details on the middle one, and then the one that I haven't started yet is going to be almost all red with yellow centers.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And is this all one piece of paper?
Yes, it is. Right now I'm going through all of my cradle boards, and I have one that's 12 by 24. And so I'm going to put this on that, and then on the images, there'll be a 2-inch white border around everything, around each one.
How striking. That's going to
So
be.
I'm really having fun. I'm not so sure about this paper. You know, I'm using the hot press.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It lifts really, really well. So if you want to put something down, you can wet it with water and pick it up so easily.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't stain much. The downside is that whenever I go to put an extra wash on the top, it activates the color underneath regardless of how days it's been sitting there. So that's a downside. It's also kind of, like I mentioned last week, it bruises pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like you can't really scrub it at all. It's more, but it has definitely some plus sides to it.
I wonder if you use staining colors, they wouldn't lift, I wouldn't think.
No, they wouldn't. I don't think they would lift. They'd leave some, but they'd still, the residue, like whenever on the one flower there and the great big one in the middle here that I'm putting the detail on, when I went to put the shadow on, my brush came away with a whole bunch of yellow.
What color? Was it a cadmium?
No, it wasn't. It was a lemon.
Yeah, it's a...
And a gamboge.
Oh.
So, but I've noticed it pretty much with every one, it just kind of lifts off. The other thing I've been experimenting with medium success is I got some titanium casein, and that's opaque and it's a water base. And I've been mixing my colors in with a little bit of casein when I want to paint over the top of something, so that I'll get the red color, but it will be opaque and go right over the top. So I've been putting some detail in that way. The downside to that is that it doesn't have any translucency to it, but I'm liking it for some detailing. That's about it.
Well, yeah, you're such a scientist. You have such a scientific approach. So you've got an incredible amount of detail in the one on the right. And then the one in the middle, you've got, some detail in the upper flower. I'm imagining, I know you said you're not done with this one. Were you going to do more detail in that bigger flower on the bottom?
Yeah, that's what I'm working on now.
Okay,
I have to put a layer of yellow over the top of the center.
Okay.
And I've actually, since I took this photo, I've added some more detail in there, but that's what I'm working on right now.
Good. And then are you planning on leaving the white background?
I don't think so. I think that I may do a pale green into blue.
Oh, that would be pretty.
I think that I'm going to do that, but it's going to be a light background. I'm not going to do my normal blacks or darks.
Good. Yeah, I think especially with the white masked off borders, you'll want some kind of a background color on these.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Well, it also looks like you are enjoying your painting time. It looks like this is a very pleasurable thing to be working on.
It really is. I bought a new table for my art room right before the world went crazy.
Yay!
Yay! So I spent for 2 weeks completely redoing my palette and putting it in a whole different format, and I'm very, very happy with it. And now, I just want to be in here. I think before I had a little too small of a table, and I was kind of cramped. And now it just feels like luxury, because I do have a dedicated room for it, but it had gotten kind of hodgepodgey. So I'm very happy that it's open up now.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's so nice to take some time to kind of reset and redo, reorganize your palette, get a new table, and just get your space set up, because then you are kind of pulled, like you're magnetized to the area. It kind of pulls you in, right?
Absolutely. And I went to, if anyone's ever goes out there, I went to the UCSB little corner where they sell old office furniture. And I bought it's a 4x6 or 3x6, really, really firm metal table that's fabulous. And I put it on risers so it hits me. It's high, I can stand up when I work. And the table only cost me $20.
Cool.
So
And where is it?
That's out on, it's out on the campus, but it's out near the marshes. I couldn't tell, I can't tell you how to get there, but
It's near their police station there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
They have, the office furniture changes daily almost, but they have.
It's called Central Stores. That's the name of the building.
Oh, it is? Okay. And it's only open like from 1 till 4, a couple days a week.
Right, exactly.
But I tell you, for $20, it was well worth it going around their schedule.
If you need a filing cabinet, that's the place to go.
But they have really good tables out there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow, we're all
great.
gonna go out. Let's have a field trip. Go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Come home with more junk after we've cleaned out everything that we got rid of now.
I know.
I can add more stuff.
Well, congratulations on having a studio that you're wanting to be, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
You deserve it.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else who has any? Let's see. Let's get, I'm going to stop your sharing. Is there anybody else who has any thing to share or check in about?
What about my tree?
Yeah, you guys got my email. I'm no longer going to be calling on you individually because I don't want to put anyone on the spot. So it's up to you to jump in.
Bill's down there.
Yeah, but I'm not calling on anyone. Okay, it looks like maybe we're about done. So any other final comments or questions before we sign off? Everyone's good?
Good.
We're more subdued this week. We're all getting into our little groove here.
Bye.
Okay, well, it was good to see you all. Thank you all so much for showing up and for the beautiful work you're creating. And I always enjoy meeting with you and seeing what you're working on and hearing from you and keeping our group, our little tribe going. So have a wonderful week and enjoy some of these little, some of these different options that I gave you. And I look forward to seeing what you come up with for next week, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Carissa.
Thank you, Carissa.
Thank you.
You're
Carissa.
welcome.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, love you guys.
Bye. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.